Oh, hang on.
Oh, here we go.
That's me doing that
song, isn't it?
It's not a good song, actually.
Oh,
this bit is
that
good.
riff's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that a riff, Chris?
It's a bass line.
Bass line?
Yeah.
That bass line's amazing.
1, 2, 3, 4! Woo! Headbang, Jake.
I'm headbanging in Germany.
I would imagine a few people on the F1 circuit have this as their ringtone, don't they? Do you hear this when people's phone rings in the pit lane?
Yeah, well, our boss, Mark, actually, who has been producing Formula One since about 1940, I think, actually had the chain as his ringtone. We used to go around for meetings with everyone, and before it was confirmed we were using the chain, the BBC were very sort of cautious about it, although really everybody knew, I think, the chain would return. We'd always go, oh, sorry, we can't discuss the theme tune. And we'd be in a meeting with someone, having just said it, and then Mark's phone would go, bow, 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 bow. Bit of a giveaway.
What are your predictions this weekend for the race, Jake Humphreys?
Well, let me have a look out the window, and it is very windy. There are some marshals standing down in front of me. They look like they're in the middle of a sort of gale or something. The rain is starting to sort of spit a little bit, and I think if it stays cool, then keep your eye on the Red Bull cars, because in the cool weather they're a lot better than Jenson Button's Brawn. So I think it could be a big weekend for Red Bull, and I think, you know, the whole of Formula 1 would like to see Mark Webber get a pole position and possibly a win. He is genuinely the nicest guy. He's very normal. I was chatting to him about Monaco, and he was saying, yeah, well, everyone has these massive yachts, and all the drivers get given a little space in the harbour. And he was saying, for a laugh, next year he's just going to hire a dinghy for 10 quid and moor it up in the harbour just to make a point, which I thought was very good. You know, you don't get that often from F1 drivers. He seems like a good guy.
He's Aussie, isn't he? So he's kind of quite down to earth in an Aussie way.
Yeah, and he lives in the UK, so we can kind of adopt him as a British driver, can't we, for the weekend if he wins. So that would be a very popular winner.
And if he does badly, then we'll just give him back to the Australians again.
Exactly. It's a bit like Andy Murray, isn't it? If he's not very good, he's Scottish. When he's brilliant, he's British.
Well, there is that.
Don't fuel that argument, Jake, please.
I would not dream of fueling it, although he is mainly British at the moment, isn't he?
Have you got to have a go in any of the cars?
I drove around Silverstone with Jensen and Lewis, but last night yesterday was a bit of a disaster all round. I went to see Toyota to borrow a couple of bikes, right? And Mark and I got out on...
Sorry, back up there, Sparky. You went to Toyota to see if you could borrow a couple of bikes?
Yes. Well, Toyota have got these bikes that they bring to each of the race just to sort of nip around on.
Like scooters?
No, normal push bikes,
okay.
But... being very clever and Japanese, they've got these sort of this energy system on it, so you can press a button and it sort of powers you along. A bit like, do you remember the people that you used to see them in the 80s? They'd sort of go along with those things, they'd pedal them and they'd lift their feet up and the whole thing would just zip along. It's a bit like a sort of not quite as impressive version of that. And we got out onto the track, and then a load of marshals grabbed us and said, "9, you cannot go." So we couldn't go out. And then I got out onto the track about 2 hours later with a helmet on, because we were going to be driven around by a couple of the drivers. And Pedro Della Rosa, who's the test driver for McLaren, I think, ended up sticking one of the cars into the barrier. So that was called off as well. So my attempt to get round the track here at the Nürburgring...
Don't they know who you are?
Well, that's what I said. That is exactly what I said, and they said no.
And at the Nürburgring, that's where you can take your own car and go for a spin. So it's rubbish they're not letting you do it.
Yeah, there's a thing called the Nordschleife, which is the old Nürburgring where they used to race. It's when Niki Lauda had his sort of fiery accident back in the day. And
it's a nice way to describe it there, Jake. His fiery accident.
Well, it was fiery, and it was definitely an accident.
Well, yeah.
I think Jeremy Clarkson said on Top Gear that's where he lost his ears. I'm not sure that's quite such a nice way to describe it, but it was certainly fiery. And that was on the Nordschleife, which is a seriously scary circuit. And you can pay €15 and you can drive around there. And on YouTube, there's like a million videos of people who've paid €15, driven out onto the Nordschleife and stacked their car into the barrier after about 10 seconds. It's quite funny.
So what's your prediction? Are you going for Webber in the Red Bull?
Well, I will say that my heart wants Mark Webber in the Red Bull. I think if it is a fast Red Bull, then Sebastian Vettel will be the guy. But I think it would be a nice weekend for Mark Webber to do the business. But, you know, seeing as a German won at Silverstone, maybe Jenson Button can return the favour and a Brit can win here.
Jake, the big question on everybody's lips, obviously ahead of the German Grand Prix, is how are you coping with the food?
That is a very big question.
Because it's not up to much, is it, German food?
Well, if I tell you that last night I enjoyed a delicious microwaved lasagna just down the road from our little hotel. Well, like Chris mentioned earlier, you know, we were out here for 6 weeks for the World Cup in 2006, and the food does become kind of samey. I tell you, it's not as bad actually as Austrian food. I really wasn't impressed with the food in Austria when we were out there for the Euros.
Yeah, those Austrians.
Terrible.
Oh.
We mainly survived on kartoffel and salad, didn't we, I think, when we were out there?
Yeah.
Nice country,
schnitzel.
nice country, nice people, rubbish food.
But I think the food in Germany's not that bad, you know, if you like black bread.
Black bread?
Yeah, it's like rye bread they eat.
Oh, really?
I went on a school exchange to Germany as a kid, and everyone had these wonderful sandwiches, and I, every day, got this foil, and I opened it up, and my lovely German exchange friend's mother had made me black bread with the thinnest piece of cheese in it you've ever seen.
Did you ever keep in touch?
No, we don't, no.
Because you could have invited them to the Grand Prix.
I could have done. I did see the sign to Koblenz, actually, this morning, and it reminded me of the fact that I spent about 3 or 4 days in Koblenz.
You could have called them and gone, "Hi, remember me? I lived with you for a while. Anyway, I'm kind of a big deal these days, and I'd like to invite you to the Grand Prix."
Yeah.
Do you know what? I might just do that. I'm sure my mum's got their number somewhere.
I bet.
I might ring back to Norwich and see if she can track it down. And the thing is, do you know what? You say big deal. I don't even have the power to invite people to Formula 1. To get my wife to the British Grand Prix, I had to write a personal letter to Bernie Ecclestone.
Did you really?
Yes.
But so who did you write to get your brother in?
Bernie as well.
Right, okay, fine.
I had to write to Bernie and sort
You're
of...
like pen pals now.
Well, I haven't had a letter back. I'm not sure whether it's sort of one-way traffic. It seems like it at the moment.
Do you know what you should do?
Go on.
You should, and I hope you are doing this. You should just take loads of photos.
Well...
And then write a book.
No, can I tell you the disaster I had yesterday? I had an absolute disaster on the way to the circuit, because I'm trying to get down with all this Twitter stuff and trying to be all interactive and really sort of help the coverage exist online and all this. So I thought, I got a great idea. I'll take some photos of our journey to the circuit and I'll put them on Twitter. Brilliant. So I started snapping a couple of pictures on the old iPhone, and I texted them into Twitter, and then I started getting all these text messages saying, "Hi Jake, did you know that your phone number is on Twitter? Thanks, John in Tumblr." And do you know what it had done? It put a message on Twitter saying, "You've been sent a media message by 077 bloody bloody." And I'd sent like 3 photos, and so then I was on my iPhone travelling around the Eiffel Forest, unable to actually get on the internet properly because it kept dropping out of signal. So I rang my dad in Norwich and I said, "Dad, get out of bed, go onto the computer." And he's going, "I'm just cranking up the computer."
Brilliant.
Okay. And so I had to talk him through, log him onto my Twitter account, get him to delete the phone numbers. Oh, it's a disaster.
Did he get any phone calls from anybody?
Well, I did put a message on saying, "Please, no midnight phone calls," but I have had a few, and they're about 2 seconds long, and they just go, and I'm not too sure what they're saying.
If you didn't get that, by the way, if you want to phone Jake, his number is 077. What was the rest of it?
I can't remember my own number. Can you believe it?
I've got it.
Yes.
I've got a pen.
Right, 077.
Yeah.
Right, and I'll release the next one number a week for the next.
Okay, fine.
For the next 8 weeks.
Yeah, as the Grand Prix series goes.
Mind you, I've got your number on here, Chris. I could just deliver that.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so have a nice weekend, Jake. You're doing a good job.
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers. Lovely to chat to you.
And it's a very exciting job. I think you're doing it really well. I think you come across very well, and I think you're very good. I think you're a marvellous addition to BBC Sport.
I owe you a pint.
Well done, you.
All right, cheers, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye, Jake. Bye. Cheers, there's Jake. God love him.
He's a nice man, isn't he?
Do you know what? Let's play this into the news for everyone who loves it, because I know a lot of people love this. Yeah. Even if you're not into F1, you've got to love this piece of music. So we'll do that, and then we'll do the news. Thank you, Jake. Someone's texted in saying, "Oh my God, Jake sounds really hot, but didn't he used to present children's BBC? Is it wrong to fancy somebody who presented children's BBC?" No, it's not. It's fine. I think it's Dartal in Southampton. Dahtal. Dartal. I can't really pronounce your name properly, mate, but I have used your parcel courier service many times. Dartal. Anyway, good boys. I like him.
Digital.
FM.
Online.
This is BBC Radio 1.
Davey in Belfast has texted in saying, "How good does Carrie look today?"
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I sent that in Braille.
I was going to say.
That's nice.
Inside I feel rough as, so thank you very much.
Somebody else says, how do I watch online? Well, you go to the Radio 1 website, the homepage, and you click on Watch Moyles Live, and it should all work. You know, you might need to download something for it, but it'll be free, and it'll be all right. So, is that all right with everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, Edith Bowman, we'll talk to her later. She's up in Scotland for Tea in the Park for this weekend. Meanwhile, let's get the news and sports. 3 minutes past 8.
Celebs may sue over spying claims.